guys, welcome to another edition of Life Inside a Box, working on the tiny house today. So what ended up happening was actually I came and worked on the house yesterday, but I forgot the memory card for the camera, so I didn't actually record anything. I didn't want to go home and then come back. I did get a few things done. I finished tying everything in, then also ran the speaker wire from the command center to outside and to right here, and I'll probably have some bookshelf speakers on like a bookcase or something going on right here. And the other speakers will be mounted right there and right there. And then I'll also have an outside light that'll pop out right there. Also keep in mind that the front of the house is gonna be covered here. When we actually get it into place on our piece of property, we're gonna have like a big cover so that the speakers and stuff aren't gonna get like rained on or anything like that. But we would get outdoor speakers anyways. So what I'm gonna do today, mount the panel, get all the wires tied into the panel. Then I also have to build some framing that goes around the wheel wells so that it can be insulated and then drywalled over top. So I'm gonna call the insulation companies this week and get some quotes, and also get the drywall companies over here and get some quotes as well. A few people have asked why I'm not doing the drywall myself. Doing drywall, mudding and taping and all the sanding and stuff is not something that I really want to do, and since it will be like the beautifully finished inside part of the house, I want it to be like perfect. On top of that, drywallers will probably get this done in a few days, no problem. Whereas like if I did it, it'd probably take, I don't know, maybe a week and a half or something. Like I don't know how long it would take me. I'd really just rather hire someone to do the drywall. A lot of people have expressed concerns about putting drywall in a tiny house. The main concern is because like as the house will move as it's going down the road, then there can be like, you know, there can be cracks along the joints. If anything like that does happen, when we get the tiny house in place on our property, if there are any cracks, anything does happen, then I'll just fix it there. The other concern that people have is about the weight. So drywall is definitely a little bit heavier than using maybe like 1/4 inch plywood or something like that. But when we bought the trailer, instead of going with the 12,000 pound trailer, we got a trailer that's rated up to 14,000 pounds. So if there's a few things that are a little bit heavier than normal, than typical tiny houses, then we're still gonna have that 2,000 pound buffer. So I don't think it's really gonna be that much of an issue. The tiny house realistically is only gonna be moved once, and it's gonna be in the same place on our property for many years to come. So it's not something that we're gonna be moving around too much, so I'm not that concerned about cracks in the drywall or the weight of the drywall or anything like that. We really want it to look like amazing on the inside. So it looks kind of like rustic on the outside. When you walk inside, it's gonna be like modern, minimal, and just like freaking amazing. I'm gonna start framing up some lumber to go around the wheel wells, and
so excited. So we excited. This is cold.
So I finished framing up the wheel wells here, so we're all good for that. Now I'm gonna work on tying in the electrical panel. explaining like how to do that. I don't think I'm really going to explain in depth what I'm doing with the panel. The reason for that is if you wire up the panel incorrectly, it can be dangerous, right? It's just not something that I feel entirely comfortable putting on YouTube and people following my direction, then they blow up their tiny house or they blow something up, and then I'm to blame for it because I showed them how to do it. I will kind of do a time lapse and take video of what I did afterwards, but I'm not going to go into too much depth about how to actually do it. There was actually a really good video on the Tiny Nest YouTube channel. Jake is also an electrician, and he made a video talking about bonding and grounding. Especially when it comes to a tiny house, it can be important to understand like exactly what you're doing in the panel there, so that you're not creating an unsafe environment for the people inside the house, for the appliances that you're plugging into, and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's go tie her in. So I've got all the wires tied into the panel. Normally right here where those two holes are, there would be a ground bar between the two, kind of like what the neutral bar looks like. But for some reason, either this panel just does not come with one, or there just wasn't one in the packaging. Yeah, but I checked the panel box and there wasn't a ground bar on it, so I'm gonna have to go buy one. Which is kind of annoying because the first thing that you tie in when you're doing all the wires like that is you tie in the ground first, then you do the neutral, and then you do all the hots. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna head on home and then go to Home Depot or Lowe's on the way there and just grab a ground bar. Then I can come back tomorrow, finish this off, and then I will go over all the electrical stuff in terms of all the circuits. And then that's it for the electrical and for the plumbing. And with that being said, this is gonna be the end of today's vlog, and I know some of you really like the longer ones, but sometimes they are gonna be a little bit shorter, and I'll catch you on the next video and talk to you guys soon. Peace!